How's everybody feeling? Good. Well, listen, I can never take the stage without, first of all, giving honor to God for the opportunity to be here, to look out upon this beautiful audience today, and just be grateful for any opportunity. I don't take it lightly, Antoine. Thank you for this opportunity. I want to begin by setting a scene. It's Monday, September 22nd, 2003. Approximately 4 o'clock in the morning. So we're in the median of I-4 between Tampa and Orlando, Florida. I awakened to the sound of sirens headed in my direction, not knowing that they were headed to stabilize me and load me up into a helicopter to be airlifted to Orlando Regional, where a qualified team of experts would put me back together. I had fallen asleep at the wheel, running about 80 miles an hour, and ran into the back of a tractor trailer. As I came to on that operating table at Orlando Regional Hospital, I realized that I was about to enter into one of the most transformative points of my life. But I thought that transformation was only going to be physically. Little did I know, I was in for a complete transformation. You see, upon traveling back home, I realized that that job that I had, Rachel, I could no longer perform. And so I moved back home where I was brought up in the big metropolis of Dunn, North Carolina. In the bedroom that I grew up in with my mom putting my socks and shoes on my feet, Patrick. You know, up to that point, I thought I was living the good life. You know, I had a good job with the salary. People were speaking my name in rooms. I had the truck of my dreams at the time. I was living on the right side of town, eating out, having a good time, living like Bill does now. But I was in for a total transformation. See, I had lost it all. That thing that I thought measured our success, I come to find that it really wasn't a measure at all. And I'm thankful that God placed a mentor in my life who would capture me at the right time and say, Ryan, it's not what you've been through that determines your success. It's how you respond to that. And here I am, a 27-year-old. Patrick, don't slap me. I know you teach education. But I'm a 27-year-old high school graduate. I had a college degree. And Vince, I'd never read a book. And this mentor of mine took me in his office one day and he said, Ryan, how are you doing? And he knew I was broke, busted, and disgusted. He said, well, who are you getting your financial advice from? And with all the ego and manhood I could muster up, I said, myself. And he looked at me and he said, you've got to stop listening to that idiot. You see, I had been very successful at arriving at this place in my life. I had done everything I knew to do. I had used all the information and education I had to get to this place of broke, busted, and disgusted. And he said, Ryan, if you want to change some things in your life, y'all get this. This is like astrophysics. He said, if you want to change some things in your life, you've got to change some things in your life. He said, if you keep doing what you've always gotten, you're going to get the same result. And it was at that point in my life I began to take responsibility for my life and the results of it. You know, if I look around and take the pulse of this room tonight, much like that team of experts when they responded to me on the median of I-4, if I check the pulse of this room tonight, I might find something like this. Only 45% of blacks are homeowners, compared to our counterparts at 74%. If I look at net worth, Our Asian friends are the highest. Blacks are the lowest. If I look at median income, 2022, it was $192,000. Not bad. Our Asian brothers and sisters, 536,000. Whites, 285,000. Hispanics, 61,000. Blacks, 45,000. I was invited here today to share a black perspective in 2025. And my perspective is simply that we can do better. My perspective is not that only we can do better, but that we must do better. It was only about 60 short years ago that someone mentioned from a stage where 250,000 people were looking at him. And even then, he talked about the fierce urgency of when? Now. And here we are, almost 3 generations later, and we're still talking about the fierce urgency of when? Now. See, I believe we have a responsibility to embrace this journey of economic empowerment. You know, financial literacy, which I've been a huge fan and a huge proponent of for years. My mentor told me, he said, Ryan, you got to go learn some things. He said, what you want to accomplish in life, you don't even know how to do it. You got to read the books. You need the mentors. You got to go to the workshops and the conferences. You got to start hanging out with some people who are going where you want to go. Some of you might like this. He said, Ryan, you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. So I charge you today to step beyond just financial literacy and step into financial mastery. See, there's no longer any excuse for not knowing, right? All the information is right in the palm of our hands. See, Dr. King and those guys, they had to go dig it out of. Did they have encyclopedias back then? I don't know. But whatever they had to go dig it out of, they had to seek the information, and maybe they didn't have the knowledge. But today, there's no longer an excuse to not know. So we have to embrace this idea of financial mastery, that if it's to be, it's up to me. One of my mentors and friends, Dr. George Fraser, says that this is the first generation that will leave their children worse off than they were. I hear the voices. I hear black voices now. Let me say that again. This is the first generation that will leave their children worse off than previous generations. I refuse for that to happen on my watch. And I hope you refuse for that to happen on your watch. So we have to get in the game. No longer can we stand sideline. If we thought we could stand sideline before, I don't even turn on the news, but I heard there's a new president. So I don't even, we got to get in the game now. Or else we're going to lose this game. I believe that we also have to begin to embrace an entrepreneurial mindset. See, we're living in a time today where we must begin to think like an entrepreneur. Now, notice I didn't say that everyone needs to own a business, but there's a way of thinking now that we have to go about and solve problems in the world today, to be of value in the marketplace today. That's how we get ahead. That's how we get this momentum towards wealth creation. Towards wealth creation. Towards wealth creation. Because, see, a lot of our other counterparts, wealth has been handed to them. And we can make all the excuses we want in the world and say, well, they had a head start. Maybe so. But there's a fierce urgency of now, of which we need to operate, of which we must operate. And finally, we have to begin to qualify. to gain access to the capital and the resources that are available. Again, we can make excuses. We can point fingers. We can talk about all the other things that are outside of our control. But there's a lot that is inside of our control. There's a lot of things that we can manage and monitor and influence. And how do we do that, Rachel? I loved when you got there, you brought up one of my favorite words, and it's in community. You see, when I think back 60, 70, 80 years ago, there were these communities all across the country called Black Wall Streets. Anybody heard of those? Tulsa, Durham. Were some of the wealthiest, finest black communities you'd ever know. By design, those communities, some of them, were destroyed, were demolished, were taken away. Why? Why might someone do that? Someone recognized the power of the collective black community. And I believe we are the generation that has to rise up and begin to reinvent collaboration, reinvent community. You see, that broke, busted, and disgusted Ryan did things on his own. Everything I knew was from my own knowledge base, which was very limited. And I made a lot of mistakes. But when I began to get in community, hang out with people who knew more than me, smarter than me, were going places I wanted to go, my life began to change. Doors began to open. My name was called in rooms. And so when I look out across this mature audience on tonight, I want to challenge you to do three things. One is get serious. Get serious about creating for you and your family the life and lifestyle that you desire. I just believe that we can have anything we want in life. I just believe that. Blame my mom, who's no longer with us. Blame my dad, blame my ignorance, I don't know. But I just believe we can have anything. I believe we can do anything. I believe we can become anything that we want. You know why? Because we're co-creators with the Creator. The second thing I want you to do is get vision. Without a vision, people perish. And the statistics that I shared, and when I look around our communities, I'd say we're perishing. And the black perspective I want to leave with you today is to get vision. What is the life that you want to create for yourself? What is the life that you want to create for your family? What is the life that you want to see when you walk out on your steps and look around in your community? See, we can stand sideline and hope that things get better, but somebody told me that hope is not a strategy. And finally, I want to challenge us to get in community. I heard it wasn't really an underground railroad, right? But it was an assembly of like-minded individuals who are about the freedom of a people. So let's get serious, let's get vision, and let's get in community. Thank you.